As the Canada project I spoke of in the intro was wrapping up, some of my colleagues and I were lucky enough to participate in Belbin's Team Accelerator program. The purpose of Team Accelerator is to leverage the roles that individuals play when working in teams. Participants complete a self assessment and invite other persons they've worked with to complete a peer assessment. The magic happens after the results are analyzed, when participants come together for a week of working through exercises as a new team. Our instructor made sure none of us was teamed with someone else from our own project or department, so we didn't come in with biases about each other already in place. The first goal was understanding the roles each of us gravitates toward naturally, our preferred roles. We witnessed the effects of having too many persons assuming the same role and too few persons serving complementary roles. We saw how those effects could be mitigated by individuals willing to take on a role that wasn't preferred for them, but still manageable. Never did any teammate ask or expect another to take on their least preferred role, as that would have run counter to their strengths and subvert everything we were learning. We experienced success even without having someone in every Belbin role. A healthy mix of opposing roles on a team is enough. We also learned the pitfalls of discouraging a diversity of perspectives within a team. We uncovered how group norms develop, that individual perceptions vary widely at first and then quickly converge. This may sound like a good thing, but the rush to convergence has a dark side. Research psychologists and management theory experts Robert Blake and Jane Mouton discovered back in the early 1960s that when a team already finds themselves in approximate agreement, attention shifts dramatically when a new person joins the team and presents a different viewpoint. In Blake and Mouton's experiments, time and again, the attitude of the group was clear. The new member must be persuaded to come around to the shared point of view. Very few established team members will probe a newcomer's position to understand their reasoning, and there is no serious effort to examine solutions other than the one the group has already agreed upon. Even more insidious is what happens next. If the team's arguments against the new idea have been exhausted and the outlier continues to maintain an independent position, the group turns away from them. They act as if the challenge to their confirmation bias no longer exists. That person is seen as a disruptor and is isolated from the group. As Blake and Mouton proved, when a dissenting member refuses to conform to the norm, they are ignored and then actively rejected. Another lesson that comes to us from psychology is that of single and double loop learning. This principle is rooted in a basic paradox of our behavior, that what we espouse to be the reasons behind our thinking are often very different from the ways we behave. People who claim to be open to critique and new ways of thinking become defensive when the theories we put into practice are challenged. This isn't just hubris. This is the product of a very real and human need, the need to avoid embarrassment, threat, and feelings of incompetence. Behind the most high-performing professional can be equally high fear of failure and a tendency to feel shame when we don't live up to the group's or our own high standards. The good news is that we can break out of defensive behavior by progressing from single loop to double loop learning. In the single loop, you identify an error in your thinking or process, and you apply a remedy to correct it. Basic problem solving is an example of single loop learning. There is learning going on, but it's limited. Genuine mastery involves a second loop of reflecting on your assumptions and then testing the validity of your hypotheses. We call this introspection and experimentation. The most successful among us are those who not only think great things, but reflect on the way that we think.